fucking cool.
Women are so fucking cool.
Hey there. Welcome back to the Women Are So Fucking Cool podcast, part of the FCW Society, where we respect, encourage, and celebrate all people. Yes, we do. And I am your host, Joanne Morton. So grateful to be here and so grateful to share another one of my Savannah fucking cool women. Yeah, they are everywhere. FCWs are everywhere. And so when I first moved to Savannah, I immediately started hosting brunches so I can meet them. And then, of course, as happenstance is, you just live your life and they show up in your life. And today's FCW, Gabriella Rivera, is just that woman. During the pandemic, I was doing some freelance work, hustling work, doing outreach and working with, I don't remember which organization, but we were trying to get the vote out and remind people to vote in 2020. And of course, it was a pandemic, so it was kind of, distancing, but it was an interesting job. It's very interesting to do canvassing if you've never done it. And that's another story. But today I'm talking about Gabriella because she and I both were working at that place. We're working for the same organization. And we got paired up to go and hand out flyers to the doors. So our first conversation, we were just talking, and I was like, wow, she's an acupuncturist. She just moved here to start community acupuncture as well as private practice. And she was talking about shamanism and other kind of very interesting topics of indigenous healing methods, and then with their own acupuncture training. I was like, oh, you need to meet so and so, and you need to meet so and so. And I was just like, wow, you're such a fucking cool woman. And then moving forward, she is now working with a couple other women sharing a space, offering their services. And I did a little bit of laughter yoga at that space. And I just was like inspired by all these fucking cool women coming together to support each other and their businesses in a really nice space. So it was a no-brainer for me to say, hey, Gabriella, can I talk to you for the Fucking Home Society podcast? And she's like, fuck yeah. And so here is Gabriella, a fucking cool woman. Okay. Once again, I always say this, but I'll be saying this all the time. I get to talk to another fucking cool woman. Yay!
Yay!
And today's Gabby. Hey, Gabby.
Hi.
So let's just jump right in, and I want to hear what your definition is of a fucking cool woman.
Yeah. So for me, any woman that goes outside her comfort zone, that goes outside what the norm is in her society or even in her culture, to be true to herself, is a cool fucking woman. Because I think it takes a lot of courage to step into your authenticity, and it's not always easy in society. You have all these signals telling you to behave a certain way, to be a certain way. And so that journey is, I think, what makes women cool.
I agree with you 100%. Where do you feel that it's important to be, to know yourself as a fucking cool woman? And that question just popped into my brain.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in the context of what I do as an acupuncturist, to go outside the norm of our medical system is really kind of, revolutionary, because we have a system that is so embedded in instant and in dividing the body into different compartments and not looking at ourselves as a whole. So when you explore acupuncture and integrative medicine, you are looking at a whole system. But because we have this very, very solidified way of looking at health and looking at our bodies, and interacting in the medical system, it gets very difficult to do that. So we have to make an extra effort to seek out modalities that are more holistic, that are more integrative. And I think that takes courage, and it takes curiosity, and it takes self-love.
Yes, all of that as well. And you also reminded me why the work acupuncture is sort of what did you say? Things take time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that, I immediately thought of women who give birth. It takes time to give birth. It takes time to gestate, do all of that. And so we as women recognize that it's important to have patience and to do the work, and how we see the world isn't operating that way. And so how do we as women, or feminists, and they can be men, women, anyone, but how can we as feminists really continue to help create those messages in our everyday lives?
Yeah, well, I mean, I 100% believe that we can't do that without doing that journey ourselves, right? And that we teach by example. So when you have an individual that is beginning to look at their health and their life in a more integrative way, that is contagious, that is inspiring to other women, other people, and certainly to the family, right? Women are the catalyst for the health and the well-being of their families. They are the ones who are like thinking and doing the cooking and the nourishing in a big way. Not that men don't, but so women are often the catalyst of bringing new information, new ways of thinking about health and well-being. And so it has to start with us. It's a very personal journey that then is shared. I don't think that it works to just go out and preach, to be honest. I think that we are inspired by each other when we see that reflection in each other. And then we're like, oh, what are you up to? I like that. You look great. You feel good. You sound great. What's going on? And people get curious. And I think that is contagious.
Yeah, I really do too. And you reminded me of that commercial. I don't know about the hair commercial, like she told two friends, and so on and so on.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Right? That commercial always shows up in my brain about spreading the word, celebrating the fact that women are so fucking cool, and celebrating each other. And that comes to our another question: who are some FCWs that you know or admire?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have for a long time now, when I was an acupuncture student, was introduced to Miriam Lee, who was actually in the 70s the first acupuncturist in California. And in 1974, she was actually arrested for practicing acupuncture because the governor back in the day, Reagan, vetoed acupuncture as a practice. So she kept practicing. She had so many people in her stairwell at her home clinic that it collapsed. And when they arrested her, all these people showed up to court and they testified how all of these, symptomologies were reversed, and how well, she cared for them, and how much they valued her as a practitioner. And 2 years later, they legalized acupuncture as a medical practice. So Miriam Lee is a big, hero of mine for my profession, but just as a badass woman to be doing this illegally because she believed in it and because she wanted to support her community, right? And then, in my everyday, to be honest, all the women that come into my practice that are new to acupuncture, that are so inspired and transformed by the journey of acupuncture and how it changes their health, to then they go home and they educate their husbands, and the husbands come in and the kids come in, and now you have a family that has moved from just having Western medicine as the only model for health to now having an option. And so for me, those women are heroes in my eyes as well.
Yeah. Who else, is there any other personal friends, anybody else that you can think of that, or?
I mean, there's so many, all my friends are badass women, and I have so many, but, I think every woman that goes outside their comfort zone, like I said before, is fucking cool. It takes courage, and I think a lot of women are courageous. You know.
I think so too, and I think it's important that we recognize that in order for a movement or something to change collectively as a society, it doesn't take just the leader, it takes all the unnamed suffragettes.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and that's why it's important for me to mention these housewives that come in and then go home and change the lives of their homes, because isn't that what community building is? Isn't that what what we're looking for is those small changes that then become a movement.
Right. And tell me a little bit about working with FCWs as business partners.
Yeah. Well, I work with a lot of really cool women, women that are in their own right, pushing, the envelope in their field. A lot of energy workers, animal chiropractors, women that work in different realms that aren't necessarily well known, that are in it. They're in it. They believe in what they do, and they're pushing that to share it with their community. So I only work with cool women like that, yourself included, like women that just are like, what about this? Let's get this out there. What about that?
Yeah, action takers.
Dreamers and action takers, right? Because it has to start with this vision.
Right. And there was so as a FCW, we're all about pro-choice for everything, and we also really understand feminist ideology and policy. And I liked what you said earlier about having choices in how you take care of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you feel, talk about that a little bit in regards to choice. And
yeah, well, the current medical system, it doesn't really give us a lot of options, right? When we go to a general practitioner, we have the option of a pharmaceutical or surgery. And don't get me wrong, there is an absolute time and place for both of those things. Western medicine is life-saving. If I'm having a stroke or a heart attack or a vehicle hits me or something falls on top of me, please take me to the emergency room. I want to be put together. And Western medicine excels at that. The problem is that we don't have options. And although Western medicine is fantastic for keeping us alive, it does a very poor job at keeping us well. Acupuncture, on the other hand, is a holistic modality, and it is focused on keeping us well. It's focused on teaching us how to integrate our mind, our bodies, and our spirit so that we can thrive, so that we can get at the root cause of what's happening in our bodies and what isn't working. And so having that choice is really my passion. I just want to keep educating people on, if you choose to go the Western route for medicine, that's fantastic, that's fine. But did you know that this other thing exists? Do you know that there are other ways to holistically address your pain, your mental health? There are other ways to balance your amazing physiology and your mind. And so all I really want are people to have the options and not just to think that this is the only way.
Yes, there are lots of ways for sure. So I know you have a piece of paper there. Is there anything else that you kind of want to, you sort of wanted to share about just anything?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that my number one passion, in creating this choice for people, is because we have an opioid epidemic in our country. And I actually come from a household I was raised by a father who was a Korean War veteran and who, was a prescription drug addict. And we didn't know this at the time. In the 60s and 70s, there weren't really these other integrative, holistic options. And that's what people had. And I think that experience as a child with my family and being raised by a prescription drug addict really made me aware of that it doesn't have to be that way today. We do have options today, and I think that that's what really motivates me and inspires me, and I really want people to know that there are options, that we don't have to suffer and we don't have to become addicts because we have shoulder pain. We don't have to become addicted and have our lives destroyed to have less back pain. It's just not the way it is anymore. So I really wanted to really share that.
Yeah, I'm pausing so I can edit. Yeah, that is really important to share. It really is. And I think we do have all this, and this, again, I'm just kind of going off a tangent, but there are so many people with so many stress-related health issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's so many, and due to so many different reasons. And how do we, I don't know if this is a question, but how do we heal ourselves? I know it has to come from ourselves, but still, what can we do? Like, really, what can we do to create a healthy, thriving society?
As far as mental health is
Yeah.
concerned, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's so multi-layered, right? Because we are, as you said, it's an inside job, but it's not just an inside job, right? We live in communities, and we affect and each other, But what would happen if we all individually took that responsibility, to go inward and do the healing? And then what would happen if we had medical systems that supported that integration, right? That doesn't happen when you're giving a prescription for your sadness or for your anxiety or for your PTSD. That inside work is harder to do once you are taking those prescriptions, because they don't create an environment where you can access that. Do you know? So I think that's another. Those two things have to work in tandem. We have to have the personal motivation and curiosity to want to figure out what's going on and why we're feeling and thinking a certain way, and then we have to have modalities that meet us there and help us figure it out. So it's again, in community.
Yeah, and that other word that showed up in my mind when I was listening to you, it is our personal responsibility, but it's also a shared responsibility to support each other.
Yeah, and the medical system needs to play a part in it.
It does. It really does, and that makes a healthy society. And that's what we want to. That's what we're striving for. To have a healthy and thriving society where all people feel valued and seen.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to just share about anything? Last words on how to maintain being a fucking cool woman, how to navigate, the ups and downs, how you do it?
Yeah. Taking personal responsibility is, I think, a radical experience, and without personal responsibility, we can't change ourselves, we can't change our societies for the better. We can't keep pointing the finger at problems outside ourselves. We are part of the problem. And like we were speaking about earlier, we're projecting, right? So whatever we see out there is in us, all the good and the bad. So I think that for me personally, my journey is really always going inside. If I'm triggered about someone or something, I have to go inside to be like, what's going on? What about that is in me? What happened? What is that? What is that about me? Because if I keep pointing the finger, I'm not happy that way. I'm just not happy that way. And so I think that that's the only answer that I have is just to be radically responsible for myself.